Tropical cyclone wind signal number 2 has been raised over some areas in the Visayas as Jolina intensifies into a tropical storm. The Philippines has logged another record high in daily COVID-19 cases at over 22,400. Despite the recent surge in COVID-19 cases, Metro Manila will be downgraded to GCQ status until the end of the month. Philippine Airlines is targeting to exit bankruptcy protection without additional job cuts before the end of the year. And in sports, the country's 4 Tokyo Olympic medalists have received recognition and cash rewards from the Senate. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Sean Yao. The Health Department is looking to upgrade its herd immunity target to 90% from 70% as the threat of new COVID-19 variants rage on. Dr. Consorcio Lim Quizon of the National Immunization Technical Advisory Group, or NITAG, is with us via Zoom to discuss this further. Hi, Doc Conky. Given our current vaccination pace, do you think we can still hit 90% to achieve herd immunity, 90% of the population vaccinated?
Good evening, Sean, and good evening to all the viewers. Yes, the answer there is yes, it is achievable if and when the supply actually holds out. You know, initially we were told that we could target 500,000 jobs per day. And there was a time where we even hit 700,000. So if the issue is, can we do it? I believe we can. However, will the supply last?
All right, so still supply issue, so about 18 months into the pandemic. Now, do you think that the Secretary, Francisco Duque III, was being realistic when he said that herd immunity could actually be achieved by the first quarter of next year or February at the earliest?
I think so. As I said, it just depends on the supply that we have right now. What, it's hitting 50 million doses, and we would need about more than 100 million doses in order to reach our target. However, let me remind everybody that at the end of the day, the reason why we are vaccinating is really to prevent critical cases, to prevent hospitalization and deaths, and not really to target herd immunity alone.
Right, and having said all of that, Dr. Conky, what is the latest recommendation from the NITAG on the matter of booster shots? You just said there was an issue on supply, so I'm guessing still a no-go for booster shots?
If and when we do consider booster shots or third shots, as the case may be, because different brands of the vaccine will have different duration of immunity, then we are back to really prioritizing. So at the moment, if and when we do consider the third dose or booster shots, then the healthcare workers will be first in line.
All right, and given that there is this threat of new COVID-19 variants, do you see any need at all for health and other vulnerable sectors to get booster shots, at least, or even ahead of, the other members of the population?
We really need to reach our most vulnerable subpopulation. So for me, until and unless we have a very, very good, almost 100% vaccination rate for the elderly and those with comorbidity, then we're not even talking yet about the booster shots, but to protect those who are most at risk of hospitalization and deaths.
Right. Before we move on to a different topic, Dr. Conky, I just wanted to ask, how happy are you with the efficacy of vaccines on the ground here in the Philippines with our, we have several vaccine brands here. Are they performing as well as you expected?
they are performing as well as we are expecting. Although, of course, there are some will argue that how come there are 10,000 who were infected when they are fully vaccinated already. As a matter of fact, these are what we are expecting. None of the vaccines actually promise us 100% protection protection against getting the infection. They said 95 to 97%. Look, if we have vaccinated 10 million people, 1% of that is what? 10,000, right? So, no, I mean 100,000. So that if we get 10,000 persons who develop the disease despite of being fully vaccinated, then these are actually what we were expecting. And we call them breakthrough infections. But we expected that there will be those who will get the infection even though they are fully vaccinated.
All right, loud and clear.
But
That's good
through
to
it
know.
all, yeah. But really, my short answer is yes. All of the vaccines are performing, being effective as well as we expect them to.
All right, that's very comforting to know. I just had to ask you that, especially nowadays with the cases at an all-time high. Now, a slightly different topic, Dr. Conky. Malacanang announced that Metro Manila or the NCR will be under GCQ this Wednesday. This is, of course, despite tallying over 20,000 or more cases in the last how many days. Of course, there will be granular lockdowns to support the GCQ. What is your reaction on this?
You know, Sean, for me, regardless of what Q, at the end of the day, it's really kanya-kanyang laban. You know, the fight is at the individual level on how we protect ourselves and do our share and practice minimum public health standards. Even the vaccines, that's not a magic bullet that we can say, I'm vacunado, I will be protected. We need ourselves to practice all of the minimum public health standards. That's the only way that we can say we are protected regardless of the kind of quarantine that either the local or the national governments will put us under.
Right, still self-discipline and cooperation for now and for the indefinite amount of time in the future. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. Dr. Consorcio Lim Quizon of NITAG. Thank you, Doc.
Stay safe.
Some health experts are warning about easing border controls and downgrading Metro Manila to GCQ status at this particular time. But the health department maintains that wide-scale lockdowns are no longer effective. Greg Gregorio with the rest of that story.
The Octa Research Group warns that the government's move to lift the travel ban in several countries and doing away from widespread lockdowns at this point may negatively affect the country's COVID-19 response. Professor Guino David says that the countries like India and Malaysia are still seeing a high number of cases. He also notes that the Philippines recorded its first cases of the highly transmissible Delta variant from returning overseas Filipinos.
We should always have strict implementation of border control so that we don't allow variants of concern or even variants of interest to come in. In the past, we've had failures of implementation at the border, kaya nakapasok yung Delta variant.
The DOH has confirmed the presence of the Delta variant in all 17 regions across the country, including BARM. 5 of the 279 new Delta infections were detected in the said region. There were also fresh cases of the Alpha, Beta, and P.3 variants. Despite this, the DOH has allayed fears on the lifting of the travel ban.
May mga safeguards po tayo. Hindi man natin i-restrict ang isang bansa, meron po tayong strict border control kung saan lahat po ng mga dumadating na travelers ay nire-require nating mag-quarantine. Wala po tayong exemption. Kahit humanitarian, hindi po natin pinapayagan.
Octa has also expressed reservations on the government's move to downgrade Metro Manila to GCQ status. David doubts that shifting to granular lockdowns could bring down cases at this point.
Pag kalat-kalat na yung cases, it's all over the metro area. It would be difficult to contain that using just granular lockdown.
But the DOH stands by its recommendation.
At nakita ho natin sa pag-aaral na to, ang mga nagkakaroon ng maraming sakit or infections in a city, for example, ay halos kakaunti lang na barangay but already comprises 80% of their cases. Kaya mas lalo po naming ipinush na talagang kailangan siguro ay granular lockdown na lang.
The IETF has yet to release final guidelines on the granular lockdown approach during the GCQ period in Metro Manila from September 8 to 30. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
Senate has conferred the Medal of Excellence to Olympic gold medalist Heidelin Diaz, silver medalists Nesty Petesio and Carlo Paalam, and bronze medalist Yumir Marshall. Senators welcomed the 4 Olympians at the session hall earlier today, honoring them for their accomplishments at the recently concluded 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Last August 24, the Senate unanimously adopted resolutions conferring the Medal of Excellence to the 4 Olympic medalists. The athletes also received a cash incentive from the Senate. Let's take a quick look at today's other top stories. Flag carrier Philippine Airlines is hoping to finish its reorganization measures before the end of the year after filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the United States. In today's press conference, PAL President Gilbert Santa Maria said that the road to recovery is unusual for aviation. However, he does not expect PAL to stay in the Chapter 11 process for a long time. In weather, TD Jolina has intensified into a tropical storm while continuing its movement over the Philippine Sea. Storm signal warning number 2 has been raised over eastern Samar, the eastern portion of northern Samar, and the northeastern portion of Samar. Meanwhile, Camarines Sur, Catanduanes, Albay, Sorsogon, and Biliran are all under signal number 1. Same goes for the eastern portion of Leyte, the eastern portion of southern Leyte, the rest of Samar, the rest of northern Samar, the Dinagat Islands, Siargao Island, and Bukas Grande Islands. For more updates, visit News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Masks on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.